Ahoy, mateys! Welcome back to Vote for Holt, where today I have my brother back in town, this time for Thanksgiving vacation.
What's going on, everybody? Glad to be back.
So now that we've got Julian and Jameson back at their ND Mojo, we're coming at you again with another Nancy Drew Top 10.
I'm really excited for this one. It's one that's been a long time in the making. Today, we bring to you guys the top 10 best secret passageways across all Nancy Drew games.
Originally, I feel like we wanted secret passageways to be a piece of criteria in the ranking series, but we couldn't figure out if they belonged in puzzles or atmospheres. We decided that they were neither here nor there. But regardless, I feel that growing up at least, finding a secret passageway in a Nancy Drew game was just an excellent landmark of the gameplay.
It's really satisfying. It's like a new checkpoint, because typically when you find one, it opens up a lot of more options you can do, a lot more places to explore, and it's kind of like a little bonus, because as Jamie and I were recollecting on games with secret passageways, not every game has them, and it's kind of like a little treat when games have one or maybe even more than one secret passageway.
Definitely a treat to be playing a game for the first time and finally cracking open a hidden door or having a bookshelf pop out of the wall. I remember finding those moments in the Nancy Drew and Hardy Boys books. I read the Hardy Boys books more growing up. I think Julian did too, but whenever they stumbled across the secret passageway, that was always a great moment. So without further ado, I think we're going to jump right into this list. Do you want to take number 10?
Yeah, sure. Coming up at number 10 for the best secret passageways in Nancy Drew games, we have the False Tomb of Nefertari from game number 26, Tomb of the Lost Queen. This scores number 10 on our list for the cinematics and the cutscenes that happen right when you get in. We're introduced to every character, all the suspects, some of which we haven't even had a conversation yet, like Dylan. And I thought that was a really interesting way of kind of Nancy meeting a character for the first time. Was this earth-shattering great development in what archaeologists have been looking for forever.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. And it was amazing because it's like in the first fifth of the game, you know? It's really close.
One thing that I think is needless to say about Tomb of the Lost Queen is that this game actually has a multitude of secret passageways. It might have the most secret passageways of any game. And while I think that they're all just as good as the others, with the cat tomb and the many secret passageways and the back alleys and doors you can find in the antechamber, I think that the first tomb is a great one to take the cake, because the door kind of slides open as a surprise. You have that goofy little moment where Nancy accidentally breaks the seal and puts a curse on herself, and just seeing how everyone reacts when the lights start flickering and the strange cartouche on the wall is telling people there's a curse. It's a frightening moment, and I think it's a great way to set the stage for all the events to come in Tomb of the Lost Queen. Coming in at number 9, we had yet another difficult pick, not just for this game, which is Curse of Blackmoor Manor, but which secret passageway from Blackmoor Manor to choose. And I think that in the end we decided on the first one, the Dragon secret passageway, similar enough to how we decided on the first secret passageway in Tomb of the Lost Queen. Now, Julian was an advocate for the Gargoyle secret passageway, which I think we'll talk about briefly.
But I think it makes sense that we went with the Dragon one, because when it comes down to it, both secret passageways they intertwine eventually, but the dragon is a much cooler puzzle, and it's kind of like a jump scare almost when you get it right, because the dragon's eyes glow up and everything,
and it roars.
I think that's a much better puzzle for entering a secret passageway, at least, but they're both they're pretty much tied, you know?
Yeah, both passageways are opened with coat of arms puzzles. The first one, I believe, is Edward Penvellyn. His coat of arms shows 6 different figures that are all pointing up, down, left, or right, and you need to infer that that's the direction that the dragon's 6 hands need to point. And then for the gargoyles, Corbin Penvellyn's coat of arms will show a series of suns and stars and stuff going left and right, and it tells you which order you're supposed to hit the gargoyle's head and rotate it. So both of them are very similar secret passageways. Personally, I think that the dragon one was cooler because you have the whole wall come up in the east wing. And, you know, I think we'd be remiss on this list to not go ahead and throw in real quick the slide secret passageway. That's great. God bless Alan Penvellyn for putting that in.
What I really like about Blackmoor Manor is half of the game is secret passageways.
Yeah.
So much if you think about it, the secret passageways are enormous, and they expand so far. It's just kind of funny.
There's a piece of dialogue in the game where Nancy tells Linda that she found the secret passageway but didn't find the curse in it. And then Linda basically says, how could you miss it? I just opened the gargoyle and it was there. And Nancy just goes, oh, so there's more than one secret passageway. Moving on to number 8 now. This is one that I don't know if many of you would expect to see on this list, but in hindsight, Julian and I believe that it definitely deserves a bit of notoriety for being so damn creepy.
At number 8 on our list, we have the final secret passageway where we enter the endgame, being the locker in the train station of Silent Spy. This was it's a small secret passageway. It's a one room, but it was very unexpected, and it was very ominous what we find in there. We pretty much find out that whoever the culprit is, because it's still not quite known at this time, has been tracking Nancy and set up the entire plot of this mystery. It was all it was all about getting Nancy to come to Scotland, which was really creepy.
This place is honestly terrifying. It's like a serial killer's basement. I remember being incredibly surprised the first time I opened that locker and seeing that the 4 lockers, they snap away and just show that there's a whole room hidden behind the train station walls. And the things you find in this room are absolutely off-putting. You find letters written from Nancy's mother to Nancy that the culprit has withheld and made sure that Nancy wouldn't have a chance to read. And that's a whole new level of villainous.
Yeah, that was the definition of sinister.
while the culprit themselves is not the most sound villain in the Nancy Drew games, namely lacking a lot of motive, it still is a very, very interesting, enticing, and scary endgame secret passageway.
Coming in at number 7 on our list, we're diving back into the old school Nancy Drew games here. We have Kessler's Workshop from case number 8, The Haunted Carousel.
Now, this secret passageway is cool on multiple different planes. First, it's actually made to be the secret that Joy's father programmed for her to find after solving all of Miles the Magnificent Memory Machine's riddles, where once you put the brass ring on the arm of the spooky creature from the deep, a sign comes down that says, "Oh joy, this is it," and it reveals a hidden staircase leading down into the secret workshop under the haunted house, which was originally a ballroom, mind you. And once Nancy goes down these stairs, they all break very, very heavily, and Nancy goes crashing right down the whole thing. Miraculous that she doesn't get hurt. And she finds the secret workshop of Rolf Kessler, the man who used to build carousels at the turn of the century. And so this is a really cool room. There's lots and lots of evidence you can find, and the game lets you take your time with it, because as soon as you go to the door on the far side of the room and open it, you go right into the culprit reveal. So this is an endgame secret passageway.
I really liked the secret passageway because it had been hinted at for a lot of the case that Rolf Kessler did have a workshop. It was never uncovered. And then there had also been suspicions about the forgeries going around too. And then right when we get into the end game there, you do a little exploring. Everything just comes together so nicely, and it's just it's a very unique room.
You know something funny that I like in this room that I always missed on a replay was that there's actually a computer that the culprit has where they are talking on online chat rooms on how to sell carousel horse forgeries. And it's really funny because it's actually like really sketchy stuff, and all the incriminating evidence is right there in printed out emails. It's kind of goofy, but I like it. Regardless, Rolf Kessler's Workshop is a memorable and really neat place to unlock at the end of the game. I definitely love seeing the environmental storytelling of multiple copies and forgeries of the carousel horse spread all around.
Coming in at number 6 on our list, we have Niko Jovic's Hidden Laboratory from Deadly Device. This was one that when Jamie and I were thinking of surefire locks that had to be on this list, Niko's Laboratory was definitely up there. For a game that's pretty reserved, there's not many areas in Deadly Device, this secret passageway was so refreshing and so satisfying, and everything was so well textured. It's such a cool room, and it has major plot implications for what you find in there, of course.
Sure.
And it also has a very pivotal plot point too, because it also deters Nancy from investigating in a way, which was a really unique way that something a secret passageway is done.
For the longest time, I had never beaten Deadly Device because I'm not a STEM student, and I was under the impression that there were 0 secret passageways in the game. And then when I played through it with Julian a little over a year ago, and he took the reins in the second half, I was shocked to see that there was a whole ass laboratory underneath the first laboratory that was Niko Jovic's secret study. I love the wallpaper in the room. Everything is like an octagonal shape. It's like a giant circle. And there's all these little things you can do in there. I think that's where you find the solution to the earthquake machine. It's just, it's oozing with the personality of Niko, who, mind you, is a very well-written character that we never meet. There's the whole Faraday cage puzzle towards the end of the game where
That's what I was referencing.
Yeah, Niko has this neat security system where if you try to take any of his information out on a flash drive or SD card or anything, it gets completely wiped. And thus, it actually wipes Nancy's phone clean and bricks the whole thing, which is an excellent plot device for the end of the game because it prevents Nancy from calling the police. Really, really gives the isolation feel, that with a snowstorm blowing in. And apart from that, there's a clever puzzle to build a Faraday cage so you can get a flash drive with the security footage in and out of it. Why Niko didn't want you to take the security footage incriminating his murderer out, don't ask me. Many have speculated. Regardless, this is a neat secret passageway, and it definitely deserves number 6 at least on this list.
Coming up at number 5 on the best secret passageways of all time, we have the Hot Kettle's little underground sewage catacomb system from case number 9, Danger on Deception Island.
This is a really cool one here because Hot Kettle Cafe, halfway through the game, gets hit by a burglary. Apparently no one was at the restaurant during restaurant hours. I think Jenna just put a sign on the door saying back in a jiff or something, and when she comes back, the whole place has been raided. Boat parts and stuff has been stolen from her cabinet, her groceries are gone, but there's no sign of forced entry, and it's the most sus thing you can imagine. And so Nancy does a little poking around in the back room, which, mind you, has been occupied by a party up until this point in the game, and finds that when she solves all the little royal flush placard puzzle things, a secret table will open up, and there's actually a set of stairs that lead, there's actually a ladder that leads down into tunnels underneath the harbor.
What I really liked about the tunnels is how it connected literally almost every building in the town.
Oh yeah.
Every building in the town to the lighthouse, everything was connected there. And there is a extremely long animation if you want to get from point A to point B to point C. But there's also some really cool things. There's some clever Easter eggs in there. There's some nice puzzles. There's a maze, for one.
If I had to be entirely honest with you, I think this is one of the most terrifying secret passageways in the entire Nancy Drew series. Because Nancy, with just a headlamp, walks by herself through a dark tunnel for miles on end. She walks from the hot kettle to the lighthouse at one part of the game. Multiple times. I would never do that. I'm not even claustrophobic, and that sounds fundamentally terrifying to me. So definitely kudos to Nancy for keeping it together with this one.
But it was also, this secret passageway also fit in with the plot really well, because there had been a string of thefts in the area too, and now it was better explained because every store was connected and all the burglars were just hopping in and out of the tunnel system.
What the actual story behind the tunnels was that they were used by Holt Scotto's old story to Shanghai people back in the 1800s, where men would go to the bar, they'd get drunk, and then when they weren't looking, a secret door would open up, they'd get clobbered over the head and whisked away, and as Holt said, they'd have to go spend the rest of their lives as a sailor, whether or not they wanted to. And it was a cheap way that captains used to source up labor back in the old days. And for the longest time, Jenna Devlin denies these claims, but after Nancy tells her about the secret passageway she found, she eventually confesses that yes, the Hot Kettle Cafe, or as it was originally called, the Royal Flush Saloon, was in fact involved in the practice of Shanghaiing young men to become sailors. Little piece of history in that game that kind of slips people's memories every now and again. Coming in now at number 4 on our list, we have more or less two that are tied, but I suppose they can both have a little limelight because they're very similar. Game 21, Warnings at Waverly Academy. Now, I want to try to avoid spoilers in this because this spot here will involve spoilers for both the culprit of this game and one of the most absurd plot twists in Nancy Drew game history. Basically, there are secret passageways attached to multiple dorm rooms. At one part of the game, you sneak into another person's dorm at night, just in time to see them slip away into a secret passageway. Nancy solves the secret passageway, goes up into the secret annex attic, and finds something that no one expected. Like, literally nobody you could expect. More or less, it reveals that one of the characters has an extreme secret. If you know, you know. I don't want to give away too many spoilers for it because it really is such an absurd plot twist that I don't want to give away to people who don't know it. And then the alternative secret passageway, which is very similar, is actually after the culprit reveal in the game when Nancy escapes through the endgame challenge and stumbles into another person's door. That to me is one of the funniest secret passageways in the whole series because the culprit actually would never have gotten away with or without Nancy surviving the puzzle. The stupid secret passageway leads directly into Mel Corbelis's dorm room, and Mel is bodyguarding the door, refusing to let the culprit leave because she's so damn confused about what the hell's going on.
I really like both of these secret passageways because they had pretty unique puzzles in order to get into them, which is a pretty important part when it comes to secret passageways. And they were both extremely important to the plot, as Jamie said. So once you get into either one of them, I mean, you're opening up an entire new chapter of the game. It has a lot for you to do, which is always really exciting.
Definitely.
Coming in at number 3 on the list, we have The Magician's Room from case number 5, The Final Scene. This is probably either my first or my second favorite secret passageway of all time. The Magician's Room is so cool. It's so aesthetically pleasing, and it has major plot implications because getting to this point in the game, we actually see a glimpse of Maya.
Who has been kidnapped, by the way.
Yeah, who's been kidnapped. And so there's just chaos at the time because Joseph comes out of nowhere and he's like, Nancy, let me help you out. And there's the whole press conference thing going on at the same time. And all the while, Nancy is panicking because she saw Maya. And then when we finally get there, Maya's gone. But I love everything in this magician's room. All of the props, there's the freaking guillotine, all these books, and I really like the colors and the columns that are on each side. I just think it's such a clever room, and I also love the purpose that it serves for actual magician shows too.
Yeah. Aesthetics aside, because the room is beautiful, the function of the magician's room is just that. It was a room hidden under the stage that a magician would fall through a trapdoor when the smoke and mirrors would come out on set, so that they could slip away from the crowd and reappear in the grand finale part. What do they call that? The Prestige?
The Prestige.
Yeah, the Prestige. Christopher Nolan, yeah. But anyways, so this secret passageway itself was used by Harry Houdini himself once, is the way that the story goes. And I think that that's an excellent little piece of environmental storytelling. Really puts you in the mood of the old historical vaudeville theater scene, which this game does a great job of doing in the first place. And Final Scene definitely has a very strong second arc built into the second day of the game, which is built almost pivotally around getting into the magician's room and trying to find Maya, who has been hidden here.
The best part of the final scene is the suspense that's constantly rising, and the magician's room just accelerates it so much. So it's a beautiful secret passageway with an enormous amount of
wacky charm.
Yeah, wacky charm, and like it serves so much to the plot too. So it's everything you could ask for.
Coming in at number 2, this one was really difficult for me to decide, because I couldn't even decide which secret passageway from this game deserved the best spot. In the end, I believe we decided the dungeons from Treasure on the Royal Tower, though Ezra Wickford's secret study was a very second close, as well as a whole sequence to get into the library altogether.
Yeah. Everything entailed. The dungeons leads up to the tower, and it's everything. This is just a crazy tower here.
This is what I think I might call a compound secret passageway, where it continues to become more and more complicated as the game progresses. First, when the elevator gets stuck, Nancy first realizes that she can crawl out the top of the elevator into the open shaftway. And, she uses that to just step on a box and crawl up to the next floor and alley-oop her way up. But the next time, she sets the elevator back down to the basement floor and goes up to explore. There's a ladder in the open shaft that she can use to climb all the way up into the library and then start poking around in there, since it's been closed off to premises. And then through the library, which you have to navigate through the elevator, you can find Ezra Wickford's secret study, a beautiful sequence of the game where you learn about Dexter Egan's backstory and get to hear the awesome secret garden track. But then Nancy realizes that there is a door hidden in the elevator shaft. And it's a great logic puzzle, because Nancy can only get to the ladder safely if she's coming from the bottom floor of the elevator, but she can't get to the door then because the elevator's blocking it. So you have to figure out, the game is very, very unforgiving with this puzzle.
It's teach yourself. There's nothing specific that tells you what to do, but when you figure it out, you feel like so proud of yourself.
It's such a convoluted sequence of events. The way that it runs is, you need to bring the elevator to the first floor. Can't be the second, or else the counterweight will be blocking the door. Can't be the bottom, or else the elevator will be blocking the door. So Nancy goes to the elevator to the first floor, and then enters the library through the front. Using a fingerprint dusting kit and a little paintbrush, she has to figure out the code to disarm the security system, which will trigger when Nancy goes through the front door of the library, and then go up the stairs, down the vent, through the ladder, and then underneath the open elevator shaft. Mind you, if you do this wrong, you will actually have a timed puzzle here to open the random generated sequence of event door where the elevator can crush you to death. It's a very, very intense secret passageway. Personally, I might say I like it more than number 1 in terms of mechanically, but number 1 takes the cake simply for being the most aesthetically pleasing. Regardless, I think that the dungeons and everything in them is still a lot of fun to explore, but nothing impresses me so much as the absurd mechanics of getting into them for the first time.
Well, one thing I think you're forgetting that I think makes the secret passageway even better is the suspect reveal we have with Jacques down there.
Oh yes,
I think
strange noises in the middle of the night.
That adds so much to it, because typically when Nancy finds a secret passageway, it's like, oh my gosh, look what I found, I gotta keep it a secret. Nope, literally every suspect already knew about that secret passageway.
And it also serves as a great way of bonding with Dexter Egan, because it was actually a rite of passage in his youth to try to figure out how to get into the Queen's Tower.
This is what I'm talking about. Secret passageways that serve and progress the plot are so amazing, and nothing does it more beautifully than Treasure on the Royal Tower.
Environmental storytelling is one thing, but environmental puzzle solving is another. For honorable mentions before we get to our number 1 spot, we wanted to talk about Message in a Haunted Mansion, where we have a very simple bookshelf slips out of the way secret passageway. You gotta love the simplicity ones, it's back to basics.
Another honorable mention from Game 17, Legend of the Crystal Skull, is Bruno Beaulet's study. I love how chaotic and cluttered this place is, and how creepy it is, but it was just shy of making the top 10 list. And I also do really love the portrait puzzle that we have to do in order to activate and open the secret passageway. It was all very well done.
We didn't want to nepotize that one too much because that was the first secret passageway the two of us ever opened. Trapper Dan's Needle from game number 16 was an interesting secret passageway, even though you mainly use it to get out of Trapper Dan's Needle than to get in. And also the Captive Curse security booth. I do enjoy having a nice little glockenspiel puzzle, because that's actually a very fun puzzle to open up. Kind of a boring secret passageway, but it's still pretty exciting to get into the castle security booth.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming in at number 1 for the best secret passageway across all Nancy Drew games. Something tells me a lot of you guys should know what this is. It's the Speakeasy from Ghost Dogs of Moonlight.
No, I know that you guys are all saying, oh, but Ghost Dogs won the last top 10 too. Oh, you guys are showing so much favoritism. Hear us out.
This secret passageway starts with the Waldo/Baldo Matthias tombstone out in the cemetery. And when you open that, you go down into this little really creepy catacomb crypt area. And what it leads to is like the coolest thing, probably the coolest room in Nancy Drew history.
Yeah. This is the ultimate man cave. I know we talk about that a lot.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So the Speakeasy is so cool looking. It probably hasn't had a human in there in, 70 years?
70,
since Joe Akers was digging around or something?
Yeah.
But it's amazing because it has so many clues in it, so many plot devices, like the paintings of all the dogs and their collars, and then the spigots on the Speakeasy, like
the roulette table and the blackjack table, all the felt tip and the target boards.
And to just think of all the parties and all the illegal, everything that happened down there, guys.
It's such a perfectly equipped hangout. If the Prohibition ever comes back, meet us at Moon Lake, guys. We're throwing a rager.
But even another cool little, tidbit was that it was hinted at, right, by Vivian Whitmore.
Oh yeah,
didn't she talk about the Speakeasy
all over the place?
Yeah,
what you probably find the Speakeasy in the last quarter of the game, and that is an excellent reward for the player building, because I feel like a lot of people feel like Ghost Dogs kind of lets the cat out of the bag too early with only one Ghost Dog scare, but the game is still worth playing, if you ask me, just for the Speakeasy experience. There's a whole lot of history behind it. Mickey Malone is a gangster who gets caught for tax evasion, and he lives at Moon Lake. But before then, he has a secret underground speakeasy built during the Prohibition. And if you don't know, a speakeasy is a bar where alcohol was served illegally under the table. Because in the 1920s in America, there was a federal prohibition on booze for a variety of reasons. Kind of just the government being the government. You know how it goes. Mm-hmm. But regardless, Mickey Malone made his money as a moonshiner, or a bootlegger, who would actually make and sell illegal alcohol and would basically just host parties selling beer.
What I think is such a savage move is that his speakeasy is literally connected to his house. To the cellar of his house. That's so amazing.
That's a whole new level of thug.
So it all ties together so well. And I know that we're very concentrated on the speakeasy, but
there's so many other cool tunnels attached to it.
I was gonna say, another thing is the secret passageway itself starts with a tomb. Well, that tomb also leads to the kennel where the ghost dogs are being kept.
Yeah,
which is just amazing.
That place is like it's some underwater grotto. It's like a cave or something.
I know.
It's a really weird part of the game that you only ever see once, and they don't explain how you find it. And then you've also got the bottom of the well, which is where the game concludes. Regardless, I think it's an excellent, fun puzzle to do. Literally, the way you open it up is that there's a suspicious tombstone in the otherwise pet cemetery named Waldo Matthias, and Nancy does a little due diligence and learns that Waldo Matthias was the name of the federal agent who was trying to put Mickey Malone away for the longest time. These guys had like a real Tom and Jerry thing going on. And so the puzzle to open it up is that you need to rearrange the letters so that his name is Baldo Matthias, because Mickey would always make fun of his bald spot. Mm-hmm. There's so much character and charm left in this secret passageway speakeasy that still exudes all over the place, even with everyone who ever partied there long dead or being as old as Vivian Whitmore. Well then, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this top 10. I hope we weren't too controversial this time, because this was just mainly a trip down memory lane. Mm-hmm. Comment below secret passageways that you guys liked that we may have missed. I want to say with confidence, I think we made a pretty good list today. We went through all 33 games thoroughly, or we didn't even bother with the 33rd one to be real, but I'm pretty sure we didn't miss anything big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we put a lot of thought into this one. I really like this list because secret passageways are something near and dear to my heart. But let us know what you guys think too. Is there something that you disagree with, or is there something that we totally missed? Because I'd like to hear it.
Otherwise, thanks so much for sticking around, everybody. When Julian comes back home for Christmas break for good, I think we might go ahead and pick up with our old Blackmoor Manor Let's Play that we have queued up for us. Who knows?
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so otherwise, thanks for sticking around, everybody. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving.
Hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and I hope everybody's finals go well and you wrap up
Yeah.
the school year okay.
Finish those semesters strong, everybody.
Hang in there, we're in this together.
And don't forget to vote for Holt.
Vote for Holt.
That was a great one.